$96.95 or CoverageX.com. With Coverage X, unavoidable, unaffordable car repair bills are covered. Visit CoverageX.com or 800-875-9695. 800-875-9695. AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road. So what if I need a new one? No problem. We have the right battery for your car, starting at only $89.99. And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination. AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Wake up, breakfast, and nature-made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, nature-made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the
15
#1
seconds.
pharmacist recommended
15
vitamin and
seconds.
supplement brand.
Perfect.
Based on a survey of pharmacies who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
This hour of music on Heaven 610 WAGT and Heaven 100.1 FM is brought to you by Top Dog Law. Top Dog gets you top dollar. Go to topdoglaw.com.
Right now, 610 WAGT Birmingham is featuring special programming. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views and opinions of 610 WAGT. Well, praise the Lord again, Birmingham. God bless you this glorious day. Yours truly here, Bishop, a More Excellent Way Ministries. Grateful to God to have this brand new Saturday, February 10th here in the studio, WAGG. We're grateful to God for all of our ministry partners. We're grateful to God to have this platform for a few minutes to speak to God's people and my people, wherever you are gathered all across the land. I hope and pray that today is a glorious day, that you are well, and that all that are connected to you, all that you love, are blessed as well. Happy Black History Month to all of my brothers and sisters across the land. Those of you who are listening online as well as at home or on the radio, in the car, wherever you are, grateful that you decided to meet me and join me here for a few minutes today. I have a few things I want to share, some things that I believe that you have observed, perhaps some thoughts that you have had. And we want to get right into the heart of it today, a glorious day. For this month, of course, every year we celebrate our history, our collective history, our contributions, not just to America, but to the world. And it is imperative for us to spend some time in our lives reflecting upon our contributions and our experiences, that we might further perpetuate our intramural value, our family connection, our togetherness, and we have a mutual purpose because we have a mutual destiny, and we are connected to each other in more ways than one. And we ought to strengthen one another, encourage one another. I want to be found. I don't know about you, but I always want to be found on the side of edifying, on the side of building up, on the side of encouraging, and not on the side of tearing down. I read in the scriptures where we ought to be doing those things which work toward the edification of one another. My hope in life, my assignment, my aim in life is to say that which edifies, which builds up. People ought to feel the better after having met you or encountered you or as a consequence of even knowing you. Everybody that knows you ought to feel that you are an asset and not a liability. They ought to feel like you enrich them, that you empower them. If you're doing you right, you make those with and around you better. And that ought to be something that you and I take pride in, that we make those around us better, and that they feel safe, and that they feel enlightened and empowered. And our history collectively that we have experienced in this land and throughout the world reflects on some dark episodes where that did not happen. I want to talk about a particular perspective in our history that I believe that we need to focus on because of some of the current events that are unfolding. I do have a biblical foundation that I want to use, and I want to draw your attention to meet me over in the scriptures in the book of Genesis, in the 4th chapter. And before I get into the heart of it, let me just say perhaps one of my favorite books in the Bible is Genesis. I love going back and uncovering and discovering God's original intent. What did he intend in the beginning? And where did it go wrong in the beginning? What are the lessons that we take from Genesis that we, if we apply them today, will help guide us today, strengthen us, and in fact, it'll prevent us from making some of the same mistakes over and over and over again. While it is true that we learn from our mistakes, some mistakes can and should be avoided at all costs. And the kind of mistakes that affects us or impacts us on a national and an international global level, we have a collective interest in making sure that we don't repeat those, that we have learned from the annals of history certain critical things as a people, and that we are not intent on having those same things occur again, especially as a consequence of our own negligence or our own ignorance. I don't want to contribute to my own demise. I don't want to be a willing or unwilling participant in anything that's going to affect my people negatively. I want to be associated with. I want my legacy to be that I brought something to the table that made it better, that I created an atmosphere where people shared and were strengthened and made better by. And this is a co-partnership that I believe you and I ought to have, and an attitude that you and I ought to have toward each other. What am I doing to make you better and stronger? I'll go a step further. I'll make it personal. I happen to be the father of 5 daughters. So I just quickly say, pray for me. But I have 5 daughters. And as a consequence of fathering daughters, which is a unique experience all to itself, I am both charged with providing for them and teaching them, but also being an example so that through watching me, encountering me, they learn a lot about what to expect from their future husbands. And they learn certain things from watching their father, my just in common, ordinary, daily things. And so I'm particular about certain things that I say and the way that I say it to them, the tone that I use. While I am typical of a father that has moments where I need to be stern and so on and so forth, I am mindful of how I interact with them, what I say to them, and how I say it, and what is the goal and hope of what I'm saying, what I'm conveying, and what I'm transferring. I speak to not only them in their current predicament or circumstances, but I make sure I teach them about our family history. I make sure I teach them about certain things, certain lessons, certain things they need to know about men in particular, about mankind generally. And I want them to have, when they take my body and lower it into the ground, I want them to know that there was a man in my midst. My father loved and taught me. He prepared me. He gave me everything he could give me to make me better. And his memory lives sweet in my heart because I saw him labor and I saw him sacrifice and I saw him teach and I saw how he treated our mother and I saw how he treated us and how he took us places and showed us things and helped us see in between the lines. And this is my commitment to them, that in so being, I'm leaving them an example. And this is all a part of Black history because it's imperative that each generation prepares the next generation, thoroughly prepare the next generation. And part of the work of preparation is not always pleasant. When you're having to prepare those who are following you, part of that preparation means that you have to labor in certain things and certain realities that aren't pleasant. But the unpleasant preparation is just as critical as the preparation that you find pleasant or admirable. Yes, I laugh with them. I play with them. I joke and kid with them, so they see that side of me, but also sit down with them and talk to them. And I open my vestiture and show them my scars and my wounds and my mistakes. And I tell them about lessons I've had to learn the hard way, and certain lessons I learned the hard way that I didn't have to learn the hard way. And I become as transparent as I can for their benefit and for their advancement. And this is a part of my commitment to them, and they are right to expect this from their father and the fathers before me. I'm not just talking about biologically the fathers, but cultural fathers, neighborhood fathers in the community, pastors, teachers, neighbors who strengthened me, corrected me, chastised, taught me, showed me the way. This is a part of the commitment that we have to have one to another. And this is how we as a people have made it to where we now are. But I'm disturbed by some current trends that are occurring with our people. And I just want to point out a facet or two of that. Genesis 4:8 is a verse I want to highlight. Perhaps is one of the most familiar passages in Scripture. And as you're listening to me, I know that as I begin to read, you'll be able to finish the verse before I finish reading it. But here is the rendering, and I'm reading from the New King James Version, and I want to draw your attention there in the 8th verse. It says, "Now Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother and killed him." His own brother. He killed him. Same mother and father. Same house. Same family. They ate at the same dinner table. They had the same blood in their veins. They had the same history. But because of something that had developed in the heart of Cain that was of his own doing, what developed in Cain's heart toward his brother Abel really had nothing to do with Abel. But what was going on in Cain was of Cain's own doing. It was his decisions. You know, your life looks just like the way you think. You will go no further than your thinking. You are where your thinking has brought you. I don't care how many times you've told the story and perhaps you have blamed others. You are where you are because of what you have thought and done and said. What Cain now takes out upon Abel, when you go back and read the origins of the story, is of Cain's own doing. The same opportunity that was afforded to Abel was afforded to Cain. Abel seized the opportunity and brought God his best. And because he brought God his best, God respected it. God respected Abel. You're not making any noise until God respects you. Cain has the same opportunity, but what he brings God doesn't elicit any respect from God. God did not respect Cain's offering, what he came to present him, because God knew that he could have brought something better. And because of his own decisions, his own attitude, he strove with his brother. He had a quarrel with his brother. He had a problem with his brother. And he took out his anger upon his brother to the extent that he killed his own brother. The death of Abel happened at the hand of Cain. This is the first occurrence of murder in Scripture. This is a tragedy. And its reverberations would last for generations. We're living in a time where murder in our society is so widespread that we have accepted it as a norm. But I'm not just talking about the physical violence, but the psychological violence, the internal warfare that seems to be a constant garment that my people are wearing and are executing upon each other. Take a look with me in some of the most recent conversations and events that are happening in the public discourse. If you were to take a rather general and panoramic view of all of what's happening right now throughout American society, the loudest group, the most vocal group that seems to garner the most attention are Black folk. And this group of people, with the richest history and heritage of any people on the globe, when you look at the dialogue and the discourse that's happening right now about among Black folk, about Black folk, it is the most divisive, denigrating, disgusting, disrespectful dialogue that's happening anywhere in just about America's life, outside of the political arena and the foolishness that regularly happens there. When you look at some of the names of some of the key market people, the entertainers, the so-called, whatever the word celebrity mean, the so-called celebrities, the loudest, most vocal, divisive group of people in America right now who have the greatest issues with each other, who go on public media platforms and spew their vile and their criticism and their divisions and their animosities and hatreds against each other. No group is doing that like Black people. You can't turn on the internet and see any other group of people who collectively and vocally, orally destroy each other like Black people. I know you may not want to hear this, but there's a handful of people listening to me know that I am telling the truth. I don't even have to mention their names. In fact, I'm determined not to mention their names, but you know who they are. Over the last month or month and a half, the videos have gone viral. The conversations have been shared and spread. It has brought more personalities to the surface, and all you hear on all of the social media platforms about who has a beef with who and who is better than who and who has dirt to drop or throw on who, and this is what we have come to, considering what Shirley Chisholm taught us. This is what we've come to, considering what Frederick Douglass brought us. This is what we've come to. considering W.E.B. Du Bois, considering Booker T. Washington, considering Denmark Vesey, considering Cicely Tyson, considering Maya Angelou, Angela Davis, considering Barbara Jordan, considering all of the contributions of all of these stalwarts and leaders. What they have given birth to is a degenerate generation who can find nothing else to do but find public platforms and avenues to criticize and destroy and denigrate each other. There is no other group in America who is doing more to disrespect themselves than Black people. It is not a pleasant thing to hear, but it is the truth. There is no other group, and let me deal with church folk. There is no other group in America like Black church folk who assassinate and annihilate its own leaders like Black people do, who know no facts, but will go on public platforms and spew rumor as if it's valid truth and destroy our own leaders while having nothing constructive or positive to present. And we lap it up like we are thirsty hounds. It is a sad commentary about how we are eagerly and egregiously and anxiously looking for every opportunity to criticize and destroy each other. I learned as a child that if you don't have anything constructive to say, if you don't have anything good to say, then say nothing. We have the camera and the microphone now. We come from a generation and from a people that at a particular time, we weren't allowed in the choices of seats and in the best of rooms. We weren't allowed to sit at the heads of government tables. We weren't allowed to be in the best places, in the best homes. But now all of those barriers have been knocked down. And now that we have got a seat at the table, and now that we have the microphone and the camera, now that the world is listening to us, we have little to say to advance humanity, but we have a lot to say that destroy one another and bring each other down. Look right now across America, the cities that are led by people that look like me. The highest crime rates, the highest murder rates are amongst the folk that look like me. I'm safer. I live in Atlanta. I'm safer walking through Buckhead than I am in Bankhead among people that look like me. I have to look over my shoulder when I'm around people that look like me. And there is something insidiously wrong with a nation of people 45 million strong who can't find anything else to do but to destroy itself. If there's a drug being sold in Black neighborhoods, it's being sold by Black hand. I don't care who brought it here. We have got to stop telling the inaccurate lie and blame of putting on the people who bring it here on the boats and planes. I don't care who brought it here. If it's destructive, if it's killing my people, I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to give something to your child that's going to destroy your child. I don't care who brought it here. We have got to reclaim our voice, our sanity, our self-respect, our dignity, our poise. We've got to reclaim our name as a people, our heritage, our hope. We have got to say today, once and for all, enough is enough. It stops with me, and everywhere I'm going to go, I'm going to tell somebody that we can do better. Now, everybody ain't gonna like this because for years that we played the blame game. Recently, I did a study on Black history that began before we arrived here in Jamestown, before 1619. When you go back and find out that the Portuguese went to Africa in the late 1300s, what they found in Africa was conditions ripe that created an opportunity for them to exploit the Africans because the Africans did not realize or recognize what they had beneath their feet. But the conditions that really helped perpetuate the transatlantic slave trade was the intra-tribal warfare that was going on in Africa at the times that the Europeans arrived. In other words, that when the Portuguese arrived on the shores of West and Central Africa, they found that there was so much turmoil in Africa with African tribes and nations fighting each other that it was ripe for the taking. It was the internal divisions that made the circumstances so prevalent for the Europeans to come in and rape and destroy the nation. And the same thing is happening to us today in this land. And we got to wake up and realize what it is costing us. Listen, if you don't hear anything else I say today, I want you to remember this right here. The threat that came to Abel did not come from outside. It came from within. It was his own brother. Listen, my time is up. As always, it goes by so fast. But my people, it's time for our people to realize that we have been our own enemies while living in a foreign land. Listen, I pray that you are inspired and motivated and driven to correct the change right where you stand. Listen, I leave you with this. I love you, but it's time for our people, my people, to do better. God bless you.